Topic of my talk, as already mentioned by Asra, is the impact of Ethiopia's Koree Nageenya on the Oromo youth movement and its international implications. Let me get to my talking points. As already mentioned, 3 days ago, the Oromo lost yet another giant voice, Bate Urgesa. Bate was assassinated in the midnight Tuesday, and his body was found at the outskirts of Maki. His hands tied behind his back. Bate is laid to rest on Thursday without any autopsy examination. Preventing autopsy is a new policy Abiy brought to Ethiopia because the killers are not allowing investigations against themselves. On the same day Bate is laid to rest, regional security arrested mourners, including his brother Milo Urgesa and his sister Simbo Urgesa. Though the assassination of Bate completely overwhelmed my mind during this past week, when I received OSA's letter inviting me to speak on the impact of Koree Nageenya and its international implications a couple of weeks ago, what came to my mind at the time was the late Galana Imana, a vibrant youth who had coordinated, organized, and led the Oromo youth movement era in West Shawa towns, including Ginchi, Ambo, Gudar, Toke, Babicha, Gedo, and Durenchini from 2014 until 2018. Galana Imana, a master's degree holder, successfully led the movement that toppled an authoritarian prime minister of Ethiopia in 2018. In 2019, Galana started his private business, Lavagio, meaning car washing, believing that he could return to work. However, he got arrested in Ambo town in the evening of 20th November 2020. And after a day, his body shot with multiple bullets on his head and his hands tied behind his back was found on River Darbis bank of Darbis River, which is located at the west outskirts of Ambo town. The zonal security officers buried the body of Galana secretly without informing his family. It took his family more than a week to get the body of Galana from where he was secretly buried by securities. Galana was the father of 2 kids when he was extrajudicially executed. According to several accounts, in that month of November alone, tens of high school teachers from across Oromia were arrested and in a couple of days found dead in forests, near river banks, on the roadsides, and nearby cliffs. One would ask, who is committing these atrocity crimes? And for what purpose? I argue that Koree Nageenya is behind all these crimes. In February of this year, as Professor Asfaw mentioned earlier, Reuters published its widely circulated investigation report titled, quote, Ethiopia's quiet crackdown, unquote. And it was able to introduce to its international audience about the infamous Koree Nageenya in Oromia. That investigation was able to show the tip of the iceberg of the gross human rights terror and state violence in Oromia. Building on that finding, I will be asking the following questions and try to explain them briefly based on what I know. My questions include, what is Koree Nageenya? What does Koree Nageenya's organizational structure looks like? And how does it operate? What are its key missions? What is the role of Koree Nageenya in suppressing Oromo civic organizations, undermining the nascent court system, extinguishing the light of democracy, and causing devastating wars in Oromia and Ethiopia? And finally, I ask the international implications of Koree Nageenya. Koree Nageenya is a fan Oromo term. Koree is committee, Nageenya is security. So Koree Nageenya Security Committee. This security committee is an informal structure created out of a mix of governmental and party officials. It was established in Oromia in June 2019. Because it is not part of the formal state institution, little is known about it. Its activities are deliberately kept secret until Reuters exposed it in February of this year. Before the creation of Koree Nageenya at the regional level, a killing squad known as a Batorbe was formed by the National Intelligence and Security Service in key towns of Oromia. Once people began to question this Batorbe, Koree Nageenya was formed to replace it. At the regional level, the president of the regional state of Oromia is the chair of Koree Nageenya. At the local level, zonal administrators, mayors, and district administrators are the chairs of their respective Koree Nageenya. District Koree Nageenya is accountable to zonal Koree Nageenya, and zonal Koree Nageenya is accountable to the regional Koree Nageenya, and the regional Koree Nageenya is accountable to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. City Koree Nageenya is also accountable to the regional Koree Nageenya. Koree Nageenya at the regional level is composed of 7 men, including the president, vice president, regional ruling party secretariat, parties political affairs, parties organizational affairs, regional security chief, and police commissioner. At the zonal, city, and district levels, the corresponding local offices participate in their local Koree Nageenya. In addition to district police and security chiefs, local militia is actively used by the district Koree Nageenya. It is important to recall that Gachanesarna, meaning shield of the regime, is the lowest tier of security establishment in Oromia, in which every resident of Oromia is forced to serve as soldiers of the regime to tighten Abiy's grip on power. And this Gachanesarna is accountable to the militia office. Just today, Adama town held a graduation ceremony for 8,032 residents who received military trainings to join Gachanesarna. One would wonder how many Koree Nagenyas are there in Oromia? There is one overarching Koree Nageenya at the regional level. Under it, there are 21 zonal Koree Nagenyas, 20 city Koree Nagenyas, and more than 300 district Koree Nagenyas. All Koree Nagenyas have been operating since 2019. It is important to emphasize that 5 of the 7 men in the regional Koree Nageenya are assigned by the Prosperity Party's executive committee led by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. These 5 men are known as, quote, the regional coordinating committee of the party. They occupy the posts of president, vice president, and the 3 key posts of Wazirat Aba, or the regional party office. This committee is tasked with massive power, including to appoint and remove people in the executive branches of the regional government, zonal, and city administrations. Thus, Koree Nageenya is composed of these 5 men plus regional security chief and police commissioner. The regional Koree Nageenya gathers in Wazirat Aba, meaning in the regional party office. It means that life and death issues in Oromia are decided in the party's office. These men have 2 faces, one political public face, the other is secret security face. Many people might have known their political faces, but only few could understand their secret faces. Koree Nageenya at the regional level has a special command post housed in the region's party office. These command posts serve as a coordinating body for the Koree Nageenya. It is run by former plus active military personnel. The security decisions and policy directions of the regional Koree Nageenya is transmitted and enforced through this channel of command post. The command post takes orders from the regional Koree Nageenya and instruct the local Koree Nageenya across Oromia. It not only transmits orders from above, it also receives reports of the implementation as well as local issues that need the immediate attention of regional Koree Nageenya. Koree Nageenya's command post housed in the party's office should not be confused with the military command posts that are operating across Oromia. The military command posts operating in Oromia are led by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. Of course, regional president, police forces, and security chief do participate in the military command posts, but the party office is not openly involved in the military command posts. So the command post in the party office is specifically established to help the Koree Nageenya. But one thing is clear. Though the Koree Nageenya and the military command posts in Oromia are two different bodies, they do reinforce each other because they share similar mission. What is the mission of Koree Nageenya? In order to respond to this question, I would like to provide an international case by drawing a parallel between Ethiopia's Koree Nageenya and the old Russian Extraordinary Committee known as Cheka, or the Soviet secret police known for conducting the Red Terror. The Cheka committees were established in 1917 by the Bolshevik leaders across the Soviet Union. These committee, known for conducting the Red Terror, intensified its activities between 1918 until 1922. Those are campaign of secret assassination, political repression, mass arrest, imprisonment, torture, and executions without court trial across Soviet territories. The mission of Cheka was to, quote, eliminate political dissent, opposition, and any threat to Bolshevik power. The socialist military regime of Ethiopia had also implemented these similar Red Terror tactics back in the 1970s and 80s. When Koree Nageenya was formed in 2019, it was said that, quote, Koree Nageenya nagawara fiduf hala addan uumame, unquote, just translated as, quote, a special security committee is established to bring about lasting peace, unquote. So, is Koree Nageenya an agent of peace or terror? The answer gets obvious when we see the impact of Koree Nageenya on the Oromo youth movement. As Reuters' investigation clearly showed, the Koree Nageenya was established in 2019, the same year Prosperity Party was created. As you all recall, ERO, the Oromo youths, engaged in nonviolent democratic protests from 2014 until 2018 and were able to topple an authoritarian prime minister of Ethiopia. This democratic force, ERO, was immediately labeled and listed as, quote, #1 enemy of the reformist government, unquote, because the youths continued to press for democracy and justice, which will never be acceptable for the Prosperity Party. As I have written in the Foreign Policy magazine in January 2022, the policy direction of annihilating Oromo youths, ERO, was put forward by Abiy Ahmed in the June of 2019, just 5 months before the announcement of Prosperity Party's formation. In Abiy's word, quote, these unarmed youths are more dangerous than armed enemies, unquote. Thus, one can say that June 2019 was the month that Ethiopia's version of Soviet Cheka Committee, the Koree Nageenya, began as a full-blown secret committee to operate throughout Oromia. This does not mean that there was no systematic arrests and killings in Oromia before June 2019. In fact, targeting and character assassination of Oromo youths began in September 2018, right after the OLF leadership was received in Finfinne with incredible turnouts. In the early months of Koree Nageenya, only mass imprisonments were reported, but later on, the regional Koree Nageenya gave a green light to zonal Koree Nageenya, saying, quote, "Do whatever you want," unquote. That was the beginning of extrajudicial executions and making courts completely useless in Oromia. Why Abiy targets Oromo youths? The answer is clear. Abiy has seen the power of Kero. He knows the legitimacy and the worldwide acceptance of this profoundly peaceful and non-violent democratic social force. He saw the Oromo youth movement toppling a dictator in Ethiopia for the first time in the history of that country. He, in fact, abused the opportunity created by Kero. This is why the Oromo youth became his first and primary target. And that is why the Kero was categorized as, quote, enemies same, modeled after Lenin's, quote, class enemies. PP's grand strategy of, quote, cleansing enemies in the country was first published in the party's booklet in March 2020, when the Central Committee of the party voted to use COVID-19 pandemic as, quote, great opportunity to eliminate all potential rivals. It was after this major decision that high-profile assassinations, mass arrests, and extrajudicial executions intensified in Oromia. You all remember, Hachalu was assassinated in 3 months of this party decision. Everyone knows what happened following the murder of Hachalu. Only few were able to question why Emmanuel Wendemu, a 17-year-old boy who served in the local church as a deacon, was abducted by the order of Elamolaga Koree Nageenya, only to be summarily executed in front of the public in Dembedolo in May 2021. Abdul Jabbar Hussein, a widely celebrated pro bono lawyer, was assassinated and his body was found on the roadside in Adama town in August 2021. More than 14 Abagada leaders were summarily executed with a direct order from regional Koree Nageenya in December 2021. Just 3 days ago, Bati Urgesa was assassinated in his birthplace. In hundreds of cases, unidentified bodies eaten by hyenas are collected and buried. This is normal in Oromia since the formation of Koree Nageenya. But few contemplate why such widespread and systematic violence and red terror is happening to Oromia in Ethiopia. The answer is Abiy Ahmed not only wants to be Stalin of Ethiopia, he wants the Oromo people to be his Soviet-styled subjects, subjugated by creating a one-party totalitarian policy state. That is why he is finishing all dissent voices. If a mother refuses to send her son for Abiy's war, she will be killed. Koree Nageenya is tasked with, quote, eliminating anyone who is opposed to or unwilling to accept Abiy's national policy plan. Misinformation, indoctrination is the lifeblood of Abiy's government. We should remember that senior assassinations like executing Bati Urgesa or Hachalu Hundessa or Karayu Abagadas need the direct decision of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, who is the creator of Koree Nageenya. Let me now turn to international implications of Koree Nageenya. Abiy Ahmed established his secret terror committee in June 2019. And in just about 4 months, in October of the same year, he was named the Nobel Peace Prize winner. His Nobel Prize became his international license to intensify the red terror he has already begun against his court enemies. Abiy was warmly received by the global media, mainstream media, international organizations, and Western governments as a person who would magically turn Ethiopian state into a liberal democracy. In December 2019, the IMF approved 2.9 billion US dollar in the name of, quote, homegrown economic reform program. And more financial, political, security, and expert support from Western governments and donor agencies reigned for Abiy's government. Moreover, following the signing of the cessation of hostility agreement in November 2022 between the federal government of Ethiopia and Tigrayan forces, the international community is quickly focused on promoting transitional justice in Ethiopia. Yes, I understand transitional justice as a national and international project is needed for a post-conflict societal reconstruction. It means transitional justice aims to form inclusive democratic society by effectively addressing past atrocity crimes. Transitional justice consists of both judicial and non-judicial processes and mechanisms, including prosecution of criminals, truth-seeking and storytelling of the victims, compensation programs, security sector reform, democratization and reconciliation. Transitional justice is designed to heal the wounds of the past by heralding the end of impunity. In Ethiopia, however, repressions, crimes against humanity, state violence, and injustice did not stop. Atrocity crimes are not the past. They are the present character of Ethiopian state because Koree Nageenya is still in charge. I do believe that international community is not well aware or well informed about the brutal Koree Nageenya terror committee, which continue to order murder, imprisonment, torture, and other internationally prohibited crimes against humanity. As a result, there is a tendency on the part of international community to endorse a transitional justice on the basis of Abiy's version of peace, which I believe is completely a joke. According to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, Article 7, crimes against humanity refers to, quote, any of the following acts when committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against any civilian population with the knowledge of the attack, including murder, extermination, enslavement, deportation, imprisonment, torture, rape, persecution against identifiable group, enforced disappearance, crime of apartheid, and other inhuman acts of a similar character intentionally causing great suffering or serious injury to body or to mental or physical health, unquote. There is no doubt that the Koree Nageenya has committed widespread systematic crimes against humanity in Oromia. Koree Nageenya, therefore, is perpetrating international crimes governed by international laws. Thus, transitional justice is unthinkable so long as Koree Nageenya is in charge. It is so painful to see international community turning their blind eyes and deaf ears to the sufferings of innocents in Ethiopia by sponsoring Abiy's transitional justice drama and political theater. I also acknowledge the recent call by international community for the independent international investigation into the assassination of Bate, because that would open up the door for investigations into hundreds of similar executions. To conclude my talk, I would say that the time has not come for the flourishing of civil society in Oromia, but I believe it will come soon. It will come when criminals like the Koree Nageenya is removed and prosecuted. That is the day the true stories of thousands of innocents will be told in public. That day, Oromia's river banks will speak the truth of the bodies they saw. Oromia's forests will speak. Oromia's roadsides will speak. Oromia's midnights will speak for those hands tied behind their backs. Oromia's town outskirts will speak. Garbage disposal and cliffs will speak. Oromia's hyenas will speak the truth of the bodies they ate. And Oromia's prison camps will tell the stories of thousands of innocents. That will be the day true transitional justice and healing the wounds of the past begin. That will be the day grassroots Oromo civic organizations rise from the ashes and contribute for the nation building. Thank you so much.